Okay, we have a guest here, Lester McCumbers, and Lester was a Vandalia Award winner. I think that was 2005, is that right, Lester? 2005. He was the Vandalia Award recipient, and as you might guess, Lester's a fiddle player and has done very well here in the contest over the years, and has played at contests, for instance, at the Appalachian String Band Festival at Clifftop, and I know he won that award at least once. And I'm going to ask Lester to play a tune here to start us off, and then maybe we'll ask some questions about his life and his music. And if any of you have any questions or think of questions as the session goes along, feel free to raise those questions. So, did you say you're going to play the Piney Mountains? This is Kim Johnson playing the banjo, and Tim McCumbers on the guitar, Lester's son. The Yupine Mountains, by the way, the Yupine is the word that the old-timers used for the spruce trees, the red spruce trees that grow up on the highest ridges in West Virginia, over in Pocahontas County and Randolph County, where I live. There's a lot of when you get over 4,000 feet, these red spruce trees grow, and that's what the old-timers called Yupines. And I understand an awful lot of people from Lester's area of the country went up there to work in the big timber jobs when all that spruce was harvested. And, gee, I remember several people telling me that they had gone away to camps like that. Did your father ever do that, Lester? Did he ever go to timber jobs?
Yeah, my father back before I was born, even he worked for the companies that they had back in the Williams and Cranberry River, and he used to live back in there on Williams River back before I was born. He told me about all these log camps and what he done. He made ties for the trains that hauled the timber and stuff out there, you know, railroad ties and stuff, and they made them all with an axe hand. They cut them down in the woods and used them, you know. That's how they got them. And they had all them different Williams and Cherry River and all them places. They all had timber jobs and campers and stuff, and there was quite a few people from the section I live in that worked up in there. And of course, that's just what I was told, because I wasn't born yet, and they told about them old guys playing music back in there. You know, there's some of the Baileys that played back in there, Emery Bailey and Homer Bailey, and I think maybe Ward Jarvis worked back in there, and my dad, and he played the fiddle some too, my dad did. And there was a big lot of that music kind of originated back in there, you know, parts of West Virginia.
Those lumber jobs, I think they took the timber out back and they started in around the 1880s and on up and into the 20th century. Those really big timber jobs had big lumber camps.
Oh, yeah.
That time everybody had to live in a camp. They couldn't get around.
Right. You had no way to get any place. I remember my father telling me about when he worked, he lived in Braxton County and Clay County part of the time, I think, and he said they could get a ride back to about Gasaway up there someplace, or Sutton. I think Sutton is the oldest town up in there. They could get a ride on a train back that far and then had to walk wherever they lived on home when they'd come back. Yeah. I guess that's how they got up there, you know.
So I guess an awful lot of music got passed around in those camps.
Oh, yeah.
They didn't have much else to do when they weren't working on it.
I've been told that this guy by the name of Homer Bailey, that he went up there a lot, you know, and they said he'd stay around one camp and play music till they get tired of him, then he'd go to another one. I don't know how true that was, but that's what they did tell about him. And he was a real musician. I know that part about him because I heard him, you know, after I got big enough to go. I used to go to his house when I was young, you know.
And he was mainly a banjo player?
He was mainly, that was his main playing, but he was a good fiddle player too. Yeah. And he was a brother to Emery Bailey, the fiddle player.
And Emery's the one that at least a recording was made of Emery, but there was never...
Yeah, never was none made at Homer, huh? He never played none out in public, no place. But he, you know, people would gather up and play around his house, you know.
And who were some of the other early fiddle players that you heard and kind of patterned your music after?
Well, Linda's grandfather, John Cottrell was his name. I don't think there's ever any recordings much of him, I don't think. He was an old-time fiddle player, and he used to come to our house. You know, after we got married, me and Linda, he used to come to our house and stay there till and bring his fiddle and play. He was a champion old-time fiddler, and there was Old Jarvis. He was not very far from where I was raised, you know. He come to our house lots, and French Carpenter come to our house when I was a young guy and played. Of course, at that time I didn't pay any attention to it, and I never thought I'd ever want to play, you know, and I never paid no mind to it. But anyway, there's another Cottrell by the name of Senator Cottrell. Lived right down below me in later years, you know. Moved there, and I went down there and played the guitar some with him and stuff like that. And there's still three more that I can't think of that, you know, was around the country. But there were several of them in that section.
Several of those that you mentioned, like Ward Jarvis and French Carpenter, were recorded, actually.
Yeah.
And in Senate Cottrell, there is one recording.
Oh, yeah. I wasn't sure about him, you know.
But I guess a lot of those old timers slipped by and never did get recorded.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, most of them, well, what I heard of them, of course, they had a few recorders in, but back before that, they didn't nobody have any, you know. And they just kind of played around and get together up around each other. And old man Scott Bailey, I heard him play too. When I was a boy, he lived 3 or 4 miles from where I lived, where I grew up, you know. Well, actually, I was born in about a mile of where he lived. Place they called Big Run around there. I told you where that was at. I just lived not far there from the Bailey place there where old man Scott lived. I remember going by there when I was a little guy, you know, and seeing Scott there.
Well, you want to play another tune?
I don't think of anything worth playing. That's one thing's happened to me in later years. I can't remember now. Yeah, there's one made up about the Cherry River line. Now, them old guys like Homer Bailey and them guys brought that tune from up in that part of the country. It's the first I ever heard tell of it. called the Cherry River Line. Played that on five-string banjo, old-time way, and
Who did?
Homer Bailey, and he noted the banjo clear to the head. When he played it, I don't know how he done it, but he did. And he's the only player I ever heard do that, you know. He was really good.
Now, Lester lives in Calhoun County, right near the Braxton County line. Another fiddler in your neighborhood was, and one that got recorded, was Harvey Sampson.
Oh, yeah, he lived right close to me. I told you I can remember, I couldn't think of him, you know. Yeah, he lived in.
Now, did Harvey play all his life? You know?
Well, he played, I remember when him and his brother was younger. Of course, they was some older than I am, you know, 8 or 10 years probably. And he played the banjo, and his brother Homer played the fiddle. But later then, they quit playing, you know, and Harvey, he got the fiddle and got to play. And when he first got the fiddle, he went to playing at this natural key, you know. And he got to getting his dad to play a little bit on it. And he played in this key and played them old-time stuff. And then Harvey, he just went to playing all them tunes, and that's what they call cross-tuning now. When I first heard about it, they called it high-A tuning. That's what they called it. And then Harvey played all them tunes like that then afterwards, you know, he got started on that. And I heard his dad play a little bit, and he really had a finest bow hand of any man you ever seen pick it up, you know. Well, he was like I am. He was pretty old, you know, and he couldn't play much, but you could tell he had been good, you know.
Now, then another person, who I guess was your wife Linda's aunt, was Phoebe Parsons?
Yeah.
And a lot of people got to hear Phoebe play. She was a banjo
Yeah,
player.
she did. She played a lot. And, you know, she made a lot of trips and stuff. She went to New York, back a time or two, and played. she always begged me to play with her. I never did somehow. I didn't play with her,
Harvey did that.
but yeah, hardly played with her. She gave him a pretty rough time, I think.
And there's, I guess Eugene, Phoebe's son, he still plays.
Yeah, he plays a band, yeah.
He plays a lot.
I played some with him a while.
Now, I know that you and Ken, and maybe all of you have been playing at that place up on the Bear Fork now in a
Yeah.
while. Tell us about that place. What is it there? I haven't been there.
Oh, it's really a nice place
Oh,
in
yeah.
camp. They got a real nice building and a real nice sound outfit, and a recording outfit. They record it all, you know,
And they have music there?
every Saturday night. Yeah. And they,
Friday night.
well, they have the music on Saturday night, but they have a get-together, a jam session on Friday evening, every Friday evening. Yeah, it's a real nice place to play. Good sound and everything. Not there, the boy of mine, Bill, I don't know if you saw him or not. He's been playing with us and doing some singing, you know. He's about the only one of us left him singing. He's been singing some.
I was thinking when you were playing Cherry River Line, how well Linda
Yes, he
just
can.
sang that.
Yeah.
I'll play Eliza Jane, Harvey used to play.
Yeah, that there Eliza Jane and I play, I kind of use Harvey's version of that. I could play it before, I kind of changed, you know, the way he played it, I kind of liked it. Okay, I couldn't play it as good as he could, but that's the style he played it in, what I did.
Hey, give us a little of that.
Tell me.
Very good.
Can't think of your name. I can't think of it. Huh? That wasn't it. On a tape from 1973, on a videotape of you and Ernie Carpenter playing that. Yeah, Ford Limble.
Yeah, that's about the way he plays.
He played better than that, but it's that kind of style, you know, about that same style he played on. It's real good, what I got on that video.
Anybody has any questions, just speak right up. Yes.
Lester, you said that when you were really little, you didn't think about playing fiddle. How old were you when you decided you wanted to?
I was about, I don't know, 12 or 14 before I went to fooling any with the fiddle. I started out first time I could find a guitar that I could buy, I ordered it from Montgomery Award. And I was, just wasn't very big, and I still have it. I got it up there at the house. And then a little bit later on in my affair, my dad, he always told me about playing for square dances and stuff when he was young. So he made a fiddle. And that's how I got started to fool a little bit with the fiddle. And then from then on, I went to fooling more with it, you know. And I did, after I got till I could play pretty good, I did play with several of them musicians with the guitar. Of course, at the same time, I was trying to play the fiddle too, you know. But anyway, that's about how I got started playing. But I failed out a lot during the last little while. Can't play much there lately. But then later on in life, why, when my kids growed up pretty good size, they went to playing sort of bluegrass and country, and we played as a band for about 20 or 25 years. And my oldest son, he passed away back about 8 or 10 years ago. We never did play no more, so I went to trying to think of all them old tunes that I had learned back when I was younger, and it's pretty hard to do. Now, you know, sometimes I can think of a lot of them, and other times I can't. That's about how I got started to playing.
How did you and Kim get together?
Well,
It was your lucky day, wasn't it?
yeah. Anyway, I'd been playing with Gerald Hardway, and he passed away. Several of them probably heard of him. He was a banjo player. Me and him played together for, I don't know, 4 or 5 years. And we was up there at park, I believe, up at West Fork, where they was having a festival or something, and Kim come over there. She wanted to know if she could play with me, and I said, yeah, if you can put up my music, you're welcome to play. And so we've been playing together ever since.
Worked out, didn't it?
I guess. People didn't tell none of us. Yeah, we played quite a bit since. And of course, Tim, he grew up in the family, and he just follows us when he takes a notion, you know. I think he does a good job of doing the old time stuff.
Did you play a lot of dance music, or did you play for dances?
Quite a bit. We played, well, it wasn't us, you wasn't playing with me then.
Well, no.
No, we played for 2 or 3 years down at Ripley. We played once a month for square dances, and then we played a couple of years or more over at next to Grantsville, Mount Zion, for square dances. And I played around some individual dances a while.
How about way back when you were really young? What was a dance like then?
Well, they was similar to what they are today, only, you know, they were just strictly old-fashioned style of dancing and everything, calling and everything.
Where would they have it?
Oh, they just gather up at people's houses way back there when I was young. There wasn't no way much to get through the country, only walk or ride a horse. You know, there wasn't no roads or nothing back when I was little. You know, way out in the country, there was some main lines, but back up the hollers where the people lived, there was no way to run nothing in there. And they'd gather up at first one's house and then another, you know, playing, have square dances and stuff. And told me about there was Ed Haley that used to come over to Laurie Hicks's over there, not too many miles from where I lived. I never was there and saw him, but I heard about him being there. And that's what they was doing in around Stinson, and in there they had a lot of square dancing way back there. Practically all over the country, you know. Just ever so often, every once in a while, there wasn't nothing else much to do, you know. Couldn't travel much.
There's another fiddle player I heard of. I don't know if you would have ever seen him. Is John McCune.
Yeah.
Did you ever hear him play?
I never did hear him play, but I know of him, and Tom McKinnon, I think he's either his son or his brother, I'm not sure which, but he was a champion banjo player. I heard him, but I don't suppose he's ever recorded it. You talk about somebody could play that Cherry River line singing, he could play it on the banjo. And he's the one give it that kind of blues sound in place of something else, you know. He could sing the blues type stuff, it was unheard of, he could sing.
And then there was Brooks Hardway.
Yeah, he raised to 2 or 3 miles, they grew up 2 or 3 miles, named Brooks and Carroll and Catchville.
And then in that Bailey family, they had Emery and Homer. And wasn't there a brother named Flummer?
Yeah, I know him well too.
Was he a musician?
I don't think he played anything, if he did, I didn't know it, that one. But all the rest of it, he was Oris Bailey's father. You've heard of him, haven't you?
Yeah.
He was a pretty good musician, he lived just a few miles from me, he played pretty good.
I met a musician around there named Sears, too. He lived, I don't know what they call that, up where, did you ever hear the Billy Rocks? It's down, what's that little town?
Sears Run there, that's probably where it is.
Yeah, I don't know.
There's a bunch of Sears raised on what they call Sears Run, it's not very far from where we live, over in there. But I can't think of anyone played the fiddle. There used to be one come to our house and played the guitar, Sears boy, but I forget his name.
I'm trying to think of another, a younger fellow that played the fiddle.
Kent Sears,
No, not Ken.
younger, older than him,
Younger than him.
younger.
He still lives, Carol took me to see him one time. Bob,
Bob Mollahan. Is that who you're talking about?
does he still play much?
Yeah, he still lives, but you never see him and he never gets out and plays the fiddle. But that Bill Mollahan's his brother, he's a banjo player, pretty good. And I saw him here a couple of weeks ago. He stopped in at the house and he tried some of them fiddles I made, you know. He could play the fiddle some too, and he said that Bob still played, but he don't no place to play. I think he come down here a time or two, way back here.
And then Roy Mollahan, he was a
Roy was her dad, yeah, he would play the fiddle.
fiddle player.
Yeah.
You know, Lester's made quite, how many fiddles have you made, Lester?
Not either thing. I started bringing one of them down here, and then I was afraid it might tear up. I never had it strung up very long, you know. It sounded real good, but I was afraid it might not hold, so I didn't bring it.
And he uses all kinds of different wood, I know.
Oh, yeah.
Cherry and
Black walnut. Apple tree. Got all kinds of wood in them. I got a bag up there made for one now. It's in 4 different pieces. I think it's 4 different pieces. And it's out of an old piece of furniture. I figured it's old. So I saw the fiddle back out and been working on it.
Now, how do you just carve them out by hand? You have carving tools?
I have some little old hand carving tools. Little thumb planes, they call them. I have a couple of them. I cut them all out like that. It takes about a year, you know, to make one of them, and then you make all the pieces. And these necks takes a lot of work. They're hard to make. And I made the neck out of guitar body, wasn't it? An electric guitar body, you know.
That's a good use for electric guitar.
I saw the fiddle neck out of it.
I walked it out.
It actually looks pretty good, and the wood looks pretty good, you know. But that one I made, I forget on all kinds of wood it did have in that. It had maple in it and had cedar on the top. And I think wild cherry neck, wild cherry fingerboard. Another kind of too, I can't think of it. Yeah, some of them had a poplar in the back of them.
I'll have to get you a piece of that U pine.
Yeah.
to the top. I had a piece, I'll give it to you.
Yeah, that spruce makes a good top, so, yeah.
Now, do you do some repairs for fiddles too?
Yeah, I have.
People bring them to you? Or?
Yeah, I used to. I don't anymore. I can't see very good or nothing. I've heard probably 150 of them mows, but I can't do that anymore. I can't see very good. It's pretty hard to do. They used to bring them everywhere for me. This fiddle here is supposed to be a handmade fiddle. The guy's name's in it says made 1915, so it's old. Yeah, I worked on fiddles and guitars and stuff like that for years, you know. But just till you just get, you can't do it somehow. I don't know why.
And as far as work, I think you worked around lumber jobs or sawmills?
I worked at them all my life, yeah. Ever since it's big enough. I done everything there was to be done to timber, to manufacture it, you know, into lumber. I'm taking it from the stump right on. Sawing it, everything.
Now, did you ever work in the woods before they had chainsaws?
Oh my goodness, yeah. I bet I got several 100,000 feet before they ever had a chainsaw. Yeah, I worked for years, you know, cross-cut saws. Before they ever brought them. I think me and my buddy that helped me bought the first, one of the first, you know, of course they made a lot of them, one of the first one-man chainsaws they come out with. And we cut that timber where Reed Crack lives, so we cut off that place there with that saw. Now, it was big timber then, you know, it hadn't been cut for 100 years.
Did you ever work horses?
Oh gosh, yeah. I owned a lot of horses. Yeah. Yeah, we used horses to do everything we done way back there. My dad, he used to raise 1,000 bushel of corn, all kinds of taters and everything, you know. And we done it all with horses, you know. We usually kept one or two, you know. I plowed acres with one horse, you know, with turn plows and stuff. That's about all there was to do with back then, you see. I don't know way to do any different.
Did you, when you were young and on the farm, did you have to go to mill? Did you have to get your own flour and meal?
Yeah.
Where would you go to do that?
That there mill was right down there where that old store building is. Only that there bank was steep where it started up to that right-hand fork. That was just a great big offset down in there. In later years, they filled that in there. But right down there at the foot of that bank, between the creek and the road, is where the grist mill sat. And that's how it come, and I knew a lot of them people were a wooden up. They'd gather up there on Saturday, they'd all come to mill, you know. Sat around and talk, and us boys would get under that old store building there and shoot marbles and stuff.
And they play music there too?
The old man Scott played there every once in a while. I think that fella died at Hall. I think he said he'd come there some. Of course, I'd probably seen him, but I would have remembered him, you know.
Leland Hall?
Yeah, Leland Hall. When I wasn't very old, I probably wouldn't have known what his name was, but I'd probably seen him down there. He said he played a lot with Scott, you know.
You probably beat him out of some marbles.
Yeah. Yeah, I look pretty good at that marble.
Shoot the dice,
Yeah, done some of that
play
too.
the cards.
But anyway, it was pretty rugged, you know. You just had to do whatever you had to do, you know. I mean, there wasn't no way to get around it or leave the country. I didn't want to leave, so I just done the best I could, you know.
As bad as all you can do.
Yeah.
But you have another team?
You think of one camp?
I don't know. That guy wants to,
Huh?
he wants to play here, that one for Daddy's team.
Did we play that next to you or not?
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah. Yeah.
there's some other tunes sounded practically like that, but I didn't never know exactly what that was.
So that's a tune your dad played, but you never had a name for it?
No, I never thought about it. And that's how they come to the right, that's where it come from. But I remembered what he called that, but I'm not sure whether that's exactly the way he played it or not, you know. Just the way I remembered it.
We'll try that.
You have to play it on the other fiddle, it ain't tuning them
Wait,
for
wait, baby.
not automatically learning to.
You can check it out.
Sound to me like it is.
You got one minute there, check.
Sure. Now that fiddle that Lester was playing is tuned in what Lester calls the high key,
High A tuning, he called that when I was growing up.
and it's tuned E, A, from the high to the low.
But now it's on the.
Or he tunes it down to D, G, E, G.
He does now. He used to tune.
Section 9.
And the fiddle he's got now is in what Lester calls natural tuning, which is the way a violin is normally tuned.
See? Oh, no, I didn't do it,
Not true.
There's something wrong with that tune or something. Maybe they're all out of tune. I now turn the shade on it.
Jumped on it.
Yeah.
And this is,
Where's your C at? Huh? No, that's the wrong thing. It's not right yet, something.
We may be not making play that.
Oh my goodness. We're watching our cross thing. Sound like me. That's what I was saying, you know, about tuning this.
How did that one get across to?
Oh, I don't know. I never moved it.
Somebody did.
And you?
Yeah.
There you go.
Okay. I
it was
know
a tune, but it was
something.
in the wrong tune.
That's never bothered me, you know. Just about tuning my sounds the way they used to, on the way to tune any of them, you know. And you go trying to get them in a different key there.
Let Sally come through the rye.
Did that ever have words to it?
I never knew that. Of course, it could have been, you know, but I just, well, I know it, I just learned from the sound that I'd heard when I was younger. But I never heard nobody else play it around, you know, after I got growed up, but I don't know, somebody said Ward Jarvis played it, but I never did hear him play it. So I don't really know where it come from or what. No, I wasn't playing it very good, I was missing the strings a lot. That's similar to that one. And there's another way right there, one called Birdie. That's some of the first tunes that I heard them fellas play. They played them, and that their old Mother Flanagan, tunes like that's what they played back. They played for them square dancers, they played them kind of tunes. And then later they got to playing Ragtime Annie and stuff like that, you know. But that's a little bit later style than what some of it was.
Lester, what do you think the future of old-time music is? What do you think the future is for old-time music?
Well, it should be good, but I can't see that it is. I think other music's crowding awful bad now, in my opinion, you know. There's a lot of people that's trying to keep it going and promote it, but there's a lot of opposition to, you know, modern type music. Everything changes, time changes everything, and there's some things that people hate to be changed, and in my opinion, that's one of them, you know. But it's going to be hard to keep it alive.
Did you ever wonder that, you know, today, people have to pretty much choose what kind of music they want to play?
That's it.
But then back in your day, it was pretty much...
That was the only kind there was.
The only kind you had.
That's the only kind there was. You know, like you know, pretty well growing before you ever hear tell of bluegrass or country or anything like that. It's just music, that's all. You know, and they all played, you know, similar like, you know. All of them better than others, which they do yet, you know. But the thing of it is, it all had pretty well the same style. And I heard a lot of them old fellows that was old when I was young, and they played about that. The beat of the stuff is seem to be what's getting lost in it. Rhythm of the old time music. This modern music, it can't be played with that old time rhythm, you know. So I think the next 40 or 50 years, it's going to be pretty hard to keep it going, you know.
But then out there today at the fiddle contest, I think there was 25 in the youth category, the little kids coming up. So,
yeah, they're trying to keep it going, and they're learning a lot of young people, you know. Seems like every time you turn anything on, you hear so much other stuff. Of course, I don't care for it, but I think average people does, you know, modern type music. And people today, it's got a lot better chance to learn it than what they had years ago, as far as that's concerned. Anybody that's interested in it, take a yard and get it, you know, get plays back when I was growing up. You couldn't, if you heard somebody play a tune, the only way you'd ever get it would be to get it in your mind, what you heard, and go from there, you know. That's the way all them old time tunes was back in, because a lot of them didn't have no words. If they did, nobody didn't use them, you know. All you had, there was no way to write it down or nothing. The only way you do is just listen to that and hope you can learn it, you know.
but then there's a lot of fiddle tunes that have little ditties and things that go with them, you know.
Yeah.
And I wonder if that was to help people remember tunes.
Well, it's a possibility, you know. But if you'll notice too, I don't know, I might not know much about it, which I don't, but the biggest part of the old time music that they play today has got a little bit of stuff added to what it used to have, which makes it sound better and fills it in, you know. But if you'll notice that as years goes by, they keep adding a little bit in all this old stuff.
And you think that has always been that way? I mean, do you think you play the same way that people 100 years ago?
Well, close.
You think it's
Yeah.
closer?
Yeah, it's, you know, I can't do it right most of the time, like I can't today, seem like I can't get the right motion on it, but I play closer to it than what the most of people does. And don't play as good as they did, not near, you know, but closer to the rhythm and timing of it.
What do you think was the best old-time music you ever heard? If you can think of all, from when you were little up, can you remember a few times when you thought that this was really as good as it's ever been?
Well, the thing of it is, the ones that I thought could play the best was like French Carpenter and Ward Jarvis. They was two fellas like that. This old man that I mentioned about Senate Cottrell, now he could play that old style. I mean, perfect, you know, I thought, you know. And my dad, he couldn't play near as much as they did, because he hadn't played none since he was a young man, you know. They got pretty old like. And I found out later that, there's a guy, he's probably 70 years old now, and said his dad bought a fiddle that my dad had made when he was living. Yeah. Said he still had it. Yeah. He asked me if I knew anything about it, and I said, no, I sure don't, for I said he only made the one after I was big enough to know about it, and I said, I know where it went, and I did. But anyway, he said that my dad had made it years and years ago, you know. And he told me about playing for square dances and stuff, but he was a hard worker. He worked all the time, and he didn't pull much of music, you know, after I got.
Now, you'd be the person to ask this question, but when I try to learn to play the fiddle, there's a lot of mystery to it.
Yeah.
You wonder how you have to work to try to find what you want to play.
Yeah.
But then if you were to build a fiddle from inside out, I wonder if that takes a lot of mystery away from it.
I expect it does, maybe, you know, some, I don't know. But I know exactly how that stuff's supposed to be. Some of it I don't get it exactly, you know, but I know how it's supposed to be, because I tore lots of them apart and fixed a lot of busts. Well, this fiddle here was in a car wreck and busted all over. That's how I come to get it, you know. People that had it told me I could have it, and so I put it back together. But anyway, I still don't know what makes a difference in the sound of it. A lot of people will tell you that, you know, what causes them to sound this way, causes them to sound that way, but I've never figured that out. I don't know whether the thickness of the wood or the hardness of the wood or what it is. That's one reason I tried to make a bunch of them out of different things. But now, some things you make them out of, they seem to sound better than they do if you make them out of something else, you know. This last one I've got is made out of, well, it's made out of just plain spruce. It don't have nothing in it, just plain maple and spruce is what it's made out of. And it's real thin. That's the reason I didn't bring it up, I came in. But anyway, it has a sound that I think is kind of unique. It's real good, you know. But that's about all I could ever tell about it.
Do you think there's a lot of luck to it, whether it comes out sounding good or bad?
I really believe it is. I don't really believe anybody can tell you a piece of wood what it'll sound like. I don't think it. Some people will, you know. They'll say this will make a good fiddle or that'll make a good fiddle. But I think that's kind of guesswork, you know. It is for me. I've never learned any way that you could really predict what it was going to be like. But anyway, that's about all I know about them. And this thing here, the height of this has a lot to do with the loudness of the pedal. If you get this up to, you get a high bridge here, you have a louder sound than what you do if it's down low here. If it gets down low here, it pulls straight from here back here, and it don't put no pressure on this wood here. Now, I do know that pressure on the wood's what makes the sound. And a banjo's the same way, you know, you tighten the tailpiece down on the bridge, and it makes a world of difference in it. Now, fiddle works the same way, as that does.
Now, there's several fiddle makers around. Your dad made some fiddles, and you made fiddles, and
Harvey, he made one.
Harvey
too,
and Leland Hall made a fiddle, I think, and he used to repair it. How about banjo makers? Did anybody make banjos in the neighborhood?
No, not really. I don't know of a soul made a banjo around at that time, you know. I do know that they made heads for them and stuff, but most of them, way back, I guess you could get a hold of an old banjo of some kind for not much, and then the head problem was the problem. I noticed a guy making the head out of a flour sack.
Flowers.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
Oh,
what
it's
you
a
need.
house cat, isn't it?
Well,
They all house cat,
they are the
they
best. Nobody didn't want them to kill their cat to get the banjo head, you know.
Somebody grandma, didn't they?
Yep. They made them out of groundhog hides too. But they claimed that flour sack sounded just about as good as any of that stuff did.
Don't say you can talk it up enough.
Oh, it's tough.
Does anybody have any more questions? Over here.
Yes, sir, you mentioned that old-time rhythm, is that you mentioned also you played some tunes that are crooked, had that long bow drag, that sort of thing. Is that the old-time style you're talking about? Can you play some of it?
It's kind of like that, you know. But that's kind of my style, that part of it is. That, the guys that originated them tunes, they cut them off a little shorter than that, way back there when I heard them. But like I said about that Tom McCumbers guy, that Cherry River Line, he was a blues type fella. And he's the one who put that there blues sound to that. It was just a straight through tune till he put that lonesome long sound to it, you know. But there's some of them tunes you can add that to, and some of them you can't, of course.
Well, Lester and Kim and Tim, we got about time for one more tune. We'll have to wrap it up.
What do you feel like?
I feel like nothing.
this about wraps up this Vandalia Award winners presentations that we have today. There's going to be some more of them tomorrow. I'm sure they're on their schedule there. And let's thank Lester and Ken and Tim for doing this. Thanks for coming.